Good evening, everybody, and thank you so much for coming on a very wintry evening. So we really are welcoming you with warm hearts. My name is Paula Panczenko, and I'm delighted to have you all here tonight on behalf of all the staff at Tandem Press. Tandem Press and the Jazz Studies program at the Mead-Witter School of Music at the University of Wisconsin-Madison are pleased to present the 5th year of the Tandem Press Friday Jazz Series. And we're delighted to welcome every one of you here tonight and to those who are also listening on the web. The series is made possible with the incredible support of the Birmingham Fund, and live streaming is brought to you by Audio for the Arts, whom you see all around here, led by Buzz Kempner, Audrey Marinovich, Noah, and that's it.
Well, Dave Alcorn.
And Dave as well. Okay, the program could not have happened without Johannes Wallmann, the John and Carolyn Peterson Chair in Jazz Studies, and his colleagues who are here, Nick Moran, Chris Rottmayer, and then next month, Les Thimick. I also want to thank each and every one of the incredible music students who will be playing for you tonight. The program tonight will feature the Afro-Cuban Jazz Ensemble, directed by Nick Moran, and in the second half, we will hear the Blue Note Ensemble, directed by Chris Rottmayer. During the intermission, we hope you will view our latest exhibition entitled From the Vault, which was curated by Tom Garver, the former director of the Madison Art Center, which is now the Madison Museum of Contemporary Art. The artworks in this exhibition were selected from the first 10 years of Tandem Press's existence. Please feel free to stroll through our studio as well and see prints in progress, and the master printers will answer questions and show you what we're currently working on. I just want to remind everybody that Tandem Press is open daily and also from noon to 4 on Saturdays. It's good to make an appointment if you want to bring a group, but if you're coming by yourselves, there is no problem about coming to the studio. For those of you at home, there will be a short interview on upcoming events at Tandem Press, so please enjoy the evening and welcome. Nick Moran is now going to say a few words.
Thank you so much, Paula. Thank you for having us here at Tandem Press. How we doing? We doing okay? This is a Friday. It's after work, hopefully, for some. Hello. So yeah, as she mentioned, there's two great bands that you're about to hear, all from UW-Madison, and kind of different music, obviously. So the first ensemble I have the privilege of directing, the UW Afro-Cuban Jazz Ensemble. We meet once a week for 2 hours. And we've been going hard this semester, learning some very challenging music. And so tonight, you get to hear the fruits of that labor, all the hard work that these students have put into this music. And we bring this music to you with respect to the people of Cuba and their culture. So hopefully you'll enjoy this music. It is dance music, so if you feel like dancing, I try to get a dance party started every time we're here, and it has yet to work. So if you're feeling the need or feeling the spirit, please do so. We're going to start with some roots of Afro-Cuban music. This is a style of music called son. Son is from the eastern province, or the Oriente province of the island of Cuba. And this is the grandfather of what we now know as salsa music. And we're really lucky in this ensemble. We have Jake, who plays an instrument from the Caribbean, from Puerto Rico, called the cuatro. And it's the relative of the instrument that they use in son music, which is known as the tres, 4 versus 3. And so we're really lucky that he has brought his expertise to this ensemble, which allows us to do some very creative music for you. So this is a classic song entitled Mayella, no juegues con los santos. So of all the music we play, that we will be playing for you tonight, you might recognize this song the most. This is a tune that was one of the biggest crossover hits for Cuban music in the United States. Popularized by band leaders of the big band era that wanted a new dance craze, this nice mambo craze. This song, El Manicero, or the Peanut Vendor, became part of the standard repertoire of jazz big bands. In Cuba, in Havana, and anywhere in Cuba actually, a lot of goods are sold in the streets, and so the vendors will walk down the streets and sing the name of their products. And that's exactly where the song comes from. The manicero is the peanut vendor on the street, and he's singing mani, which is peanuts, so mani. And so you'll hear our alto saxophone player imitate the call of that. Actually, a lot of these tunes that we're doing are vocal tunes that we're arranging for this instrumental ensemble. So without further ado, this is El Manicero. This next tune is a composition by a juggernaut in the Afro-Cuban jazz scene, Chucho Valdés, who is the director of the group Irequere, one of the biggest crossover groups in Cuban history, with other musicians like Arturo Sandoval and Paquito Riviera. This is a tune actually written for Paquito, for a lost love. This is a bolero. Bolero is a style of romantic music, usually in a set of Latin music, we throw in a slow tune. This is the slow jam entitled Claudia. So we're going to take it from Havana, Cuba, to the Bronx of New York City. This is an arrangement by a group called the Bronx Horns. This is a cha-cha. And cha-cha was a dance style that was developed in Cuba to kind of simplify that son step, that original music, the first song that we heard. There's a dance step associated with that. And for the parlor folk of Havana, they couldn't really quite get it. So they straightened it out a little bit and added this cha-cha. Now, I know we have some folks that probably took dance lessons in high school or something, and I want to correct the record for a moment. You probably learned the cha-cha, correct me if I'm wrong, as 1, 2, cha-cha-cha, 3, 4, cha-cha-cha, which is incorrect. You'll hear it in the congas. The congas is what actually gives us that cha-cha sound, and it's actually 1, 2, 3, cha-cha-cha, 2, 3, right? So 1, 2, 3, cha-cha-cha, 2, 3, cha-cha-cha. Oh, no, that's only if someone dances with me. But also that wouldn't be a very good demonstration. But we will play you a cha-cha, and again, if you feel inspired with this newfound information of how to cha-cha correctly, please join us. This is a tune entitled Catch the Feeling. don't know if I should let the cat out of the bag on this, but we've actually, some of this music we only had for a couple weeks, and so can we have a round of applause for their hard work preparing this stuff? I'd like to introduce our horns for this Afro-Cuban Jazz Ensemble of UW-Madison. On trumpet, please welcome Charlie Palm. Also on trumpet, Nick Hill. On alto saxophone, Matthew Cousin. And on tenor saxophone, Mr. Bennett LeClaire. So we're going to do something that's really hard, and we're going to try our best to do this. Again, only a few rehearsals with this tune, and they've been working hard on it. Now, if you like what you're hearing, we will be doing a semester culminating concert December 4th at the new Hamel Music Center. Raise your hand if you've been there and seen it. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. We'll be in Collins Hall. That's 7:30, which is a Wednesday, December 4th. You can hear the UW Afro-Cuban Jazz Ensemble and the other ensemble I have the honor of directing, the UW Jazz Standards Ensemble, all in one night for the price of $0. So, yeah, you can't beat that. Come and support these hardworking students. So this is a tune actually by the Puerto Rican All-Stars, but inspired by the folkloric music of Cuba, and especially the ethnic groups of the Abaqua. This is a tune entitled Changiri. They made it. Good job. I'd like to call, oh yeah, good job. It was awesome. I'd like to call your attention to our percussion section, working hard for you. On the congas and other percussion, Mr. Jordan Kowalski. Out there, you won't find many percussionists brave enough to try a solo just on the campana, which is the cowbell. It's a hard to do it, just a cowbell solo. So please show your love for Teddy Williams on the percussion. And our usual percussionist filling out that section, Lily Finnegan, is not around tonight, so we were very lucky to have a former UW-Madison, or a graduate from UW-Madison, in my first year directing this ensemble, he was in the ensemble, and I got spoiled by having such a great musician in it. So please show your love to Aaron Gotchberg on Baila. So we're gonna slow it down just a little bit and do a style of folkloric music entitled Wawanko. It's a style of rumba, and we have taken a classic bolero and put this Wawanko rhythm on it, and it becomes a vehicle for improvisation. So this is a tune entitled Obsesión. This is an arrangement actually that my group Acoplados came up with. We actually play every Thursday night at Rabinia Courtyard if you ever want to see, and some of these students will come in and sit in with us. It's a lot of fun if you're into staying up late. Maybe not. All right. But so we're going to do this tune, Obsesión. We have one more tune for you. Thank you for clapping, by the way. That was Rumba Clave that you guys were clapping, and did a really good job. Usually, that's dangerous in a live situation. You never know what's going to happen. It sounds like raindrops on a trash can lid, but you guys did great. So we have one more tune for you. Again, thank you to Tandem Press. Thank you, Paula, for having us here and showing the masses what our UW program is doing with jazz. It's really helpful. So thank you. Before we do that, though, we haven't introduced our strings in our ensemble. So on cuatro and acoustic guitar, Jake Cruz. And on the bass, Ariel Fogel. Again, my name is Nick Moran. It's been my pleasure directing this ensemble this semester, and we are going to be back for a whole other semester. Yeah. Again, just a reminder that December 4th, that'll be our culminating concert of the semester. We got some interesting music for you, and yeah, if you like this program, you will like what we have prepared for you then. So we got one more tune. This is, we just played a wabanco for you. This is another kind of, as Manicero, that second tune that we did, infected New York with the, as my lead singer says, the Latin bacteria of Latin music. It really developed into this New York sound, as we know as salsa music. Salsa music was actually born in New York City, and one record label in particular, La Fania, was the catalyst. It was a disco label that spun off and started doing Latin music as well, and the music they created just took the world by storm. So this is an example of that. This is a tune entitled La Esencia de Huabanco.
So again, I really want to thank these incredible musicians from the School of Music. Several people asked me downstairs, who is this group? They were a little late arriving. I mean, are they totally professional? I said, no, they're a student group from the UW School of Music, the Jazz Studies program under Nick Moran. So anyway, congratulations and thank you. So as you can see, we're at overflow tonight, but all our staff are down in the studio, and if you'd like to see what we're working on, they're delighted to give you a tour and tell you the projects that are upcoming. Also in our gallery, we have a new show that's opening tonight. It's called From the Vault, which I said at the beginning. And I'm delighted to tell you that the curator, the former director of the Madison Art Center, now the Madison Museum of Contemporary Art, is here. And so he can talk to you about what sorts of decisions he made to choose this selection of work from the first 10 years of Tandem Press, From the Vault. Thank you again, and come back for the second half in about 15 minutes. 15 minutes. Thank you so much.
It's once again my pleasure to be talking to Tandem Press director Paula Panczenko about what's happening at Tandem Press. And there's always more going on than I ever imagined. You guys, a lot of people don't even know what Tandem is at all, but the more I find out about it, it's like this onion with 3,000 layers.
Well, thank you very much for saying that.
And I do mean that as a compliment.
I know.
Yeah,
I
and you
love
don't make me cry like an onion.
And I don't cry either. It's a ton of fun.
Good deal. It should be. It should be.
It's a ton of
so
fun.
One of the things, we've talked a lot about your guest artists that you have come in and certain shows that you do and specific kind of things. But let's zoom out and look at something more broad. I know that in the art world, like I think in most worlds, there are seasons. And now that we have premature winter in Wisconsin, it's a great time to talk about seasons. So how does Tandem Press's seasons work? Let me phrase that correctly. How do Tandem Press's seasons work?
Well, they're very specific. In the summertime, it's extremely quiet. Mm-hmm. Most people are vacationing in the art world, going to the beach. And we ourselves internally do a lot of background work in the summertime so that we can have everything ready for the fall season. But the art world really opens in September with gallery shows, and it usually happens mid to late September that all these new gallery shows suddenly open, and museum shows, and also art fairs where we exhibit. And so in September, after 4 or 5 months of not traveling at all, hardly, we travel to Chicago, to Expo Chicago, where we show our work. Then we travel the following month in October to New York City, where we exhibit at the International Fine Print Dealers Association Fair. And then in December, we travel to Miami, where the art world really gathers. There's about 20 different fairs. The premier fair is Art Basel, Miami Beach. And we founded a fair with another alum who started a press in Colorado called Sharks Inc. This fair is a small boutique fair at a hotel where everybody has a suite, which is like a little house almost, surrounding a beautiful pool. And we are 2 blocks from the main Art Basel Miami Beach Fair. Wow. And we have been doing that now for 14 years.
Wow.
And we have 16 exhibitors, and we have another alum who used to work at Tandem Press 20 years ago, who's now very important in the company of AXA Excel. And they sponsor a big party that we have on the Thursday night of that week, where we can invite all the people who we would like to come and see, the various printmaking publishers and galleries, and also the artists, of course.
So for the Miami one, you don't happen to need like sound people, do you? Because Audrey and I'm pretty sure, could make ourselves available.
Wow, I never even thought of that. Well, I never like to say no to anything, so let me explore it.
But joking aside, how do you staff that when you go to one of these shows that's out of state? Does one person from Tandem Press go along with some artwork, or is it many of you, or how is that staffed?
Usually at an art fair, there are three of us,
Okay.
myself and the two curators.
Okay.
In Miami, because we're very heavily involved in the organization of it, four of us go.
Mm-hmm.
So there is myself, the two curators, Sona Pastel Danishgar and Mishka Lewis. And then also our master printer and studio manager, who is also excellent at marketing. And so he digitally puts up all sorts of reports all day on who visited the galleries, who's coming to the fair, what
Nice.
people are showing.
And his name?
His name is Jason Rule.
Okay, great. I just want to make sure he gets a little shout
Absolutely,
out. Yeah,
yes.
his 15 seconds of fame. Terrific. Okay,
Yes.
very good.
Yeah.
Very good. Yeah, that sounds really fascinating. It's great that you're able to take these art exhibits on the road and get exposure all over the country. Do you actually go outside of the country for any of these fairs?
We have gone to fairs in Switzerland where the main Art Basel is. There was a show called Print Basel. We did that twice.
And explain the word Basel.
So Basel is the art world capital, really, of art fairs.
Oh.
The art fair, Art Basel, was founded more than 40 years ago.
Okay. So it is another word for fair?
It's the name of the city.
Oh, it's the city. Okay,
It's
got
in
it.
Switzerland.
Okay.
And it's a brilliant show. And they have people exhibiting there from all over the world, the best of the best.
Nice.
And then about 15 years ago, I think, they set up a fair in Miami.
Okay.
And the initial thought by a lot of people was, who's going to go to Miami between Thanksgiving and the holidays? What a
Sounds
ridiculous...
like a fine idea to me.
Yeah, well, people were thinking that's a crazy time to have a fair. But it was one of the most successful initiatives that was ever undertaken.
Oh, I'm sure. And I could understand someone saying if the fair was in August,
Right.
Like why go from a hot place to another hot place? But
Right.
yeah, around Thanksgiving, are you kidding? Yeah. Sounds
Yes,
great.
it was brilliant. And so now I think there are 23 other fairs happening at the same time,
Okay.
both in Miami Beach and in Miami.
Okay, terrific. Great. Now, moving on to a different topic, and this is really interesting to me. You talked about a new technology center, and I'm not by any stretch of the imagination any kind of an expert on printmaking, but I know that it is quite an old art form. So I would assume that a technology center is not like stone tools. So what is in relationship to Tandem? Tell us about this technology center.
Well, this will open on the 13th of December, and it was donated by Professor Willie Haberly in memory of his late wife, Gabriel Haberland, who was a member of our board of advisors. And so it will be an extension of our studio, and it will have all up-to-the-date technological equipment.
Okay.
So even though you asked if there were stone tools, I do have to tell you a little bit of the history of Tandem very quickly.
Please do, because I don't know a lot of the history.
Okay, so in 1992, one of our board members from Birmingham, Alabama, suggested that we should have a strategic study done on Tandem Press. And we did. And he brought in a man who had retired from the military. And I was very snooty and an art person and thought, how is
I've
this?
not seen this side of you,
Oh,
Paula.
yes. And what on earth could somebody from the military know about Tandem Press? Anyway, he was the best strategic planner we had ever had in our whole existence. And one of the things that I asked him about, I said, how did you do this? And he said, well, this is what I did in the military. And I said, well, I thought that was a very top-down kind of thing. He said, no, not at all. Everybody is involved in making decisions, and we do a lot of this.
Wow.
And one of the questions he asked was, will technology change Tandem? And yet again, in a rather snooty fashion, I said, absolutely not. We are an age-old printmaking. We have a history of printmaking that goes back to the Renaissance, further back maybe even to China. And then there were techniques that were, the last technique that was developed was really in the late 19th century. And then we had serigraphy in the 20th century. Nothing will change. And of course, the onset of computers, digital printmaking rushed to the fore. And we really, I just remembered it so much. So we will now have in this facility, we will have laser engravers, 3D printmaking that we will be able to do, because artists who come to Tandem are now looking at, is there a possibility to do 3D printing? We will have laser cutting. We will have a way to plot various types of images that people want to do. We'll be able to scan on very large scanners, which will be basically tabletop scanners where something does not have to go through a kind of a scanner and have the paper damaged. And we are combining now techniques from age-old techniques with completely 21st century techniques. And so I think it's going to really expand everything that we're capable of doing.
Terrific. And so this technology center, is it going to be a display of the modern pieces of equipment, the computerized equipment that is used today, or is it going to be more like a museum where we'll be able to see some of the older technology as well?
Well, I think it's just going to be off our studio, so people will be able to see both all types of techniques that can be done, and the artists will be able to combine both technological 21st century techniques with the age-old techniques. So it will be a working studio. So it won't be like a museum. It will be, if you want to see how we're doing 3D printing, we can do that. We can do that at our show and tells or at these wonderful jazz evenings that we have when the audience comes down and wants to see how something is done. We can do all of that.
That's great. And will the technology, just one last question, will the technology become a part of the process, a part of the artist's vision? In other words, will some artists want to do their work on the new stuff and others will say, well, no, that's going to change the feel of what I wanted to do, so I'm going to do mine the old-fashioned way? Is that a thing, or am I just making that up?
No, not at all.
Okay.
There will still be people who just want to do something basic lithography or etching or woodblock printing. The only thing that we can do is we can introduce an artist to a quicker way of doing some of this. So we might have a laser cutter that would cut the woodblock rather than have somebody hand carve the whole thing.
Right.
But some people will still want the older methods, and that's fine. We just want to be able to enable everybody to do what they want to do.
Great. It's just more tools.
Exactly.
That's terrific. Thank you so much. Everything you guys do, it's just, like I said, this has been a real education for me doing these interviews and working on these concerts, because I had no idea what Tandem did, and once I started to find out, it just was more and more and more, and I just really enjoy the people there and the artwork that you guys are able to put out into the world.
Very exciting.
Yes, it is. It is. Paula, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Paula Panczenko, director of Tandem Press.
Welcome back, everybody, to the second half.
We don't want you to talk about the side of it.
Welcome back, everybody, to the second half of our fantastic concert by the Jazz Studies program at the UW-Madison. We are really thrilled to have these incredible students. Some of them have been here before, and I see some new faces. Tonight, the second half is featuring the Blue Note Ensemble, and this is directed by Chris Rottmayer, also from the UW-Madison. So please join me in welcoming Chris Rottmayer and these amazing students from the UW-Madison Jazz Studies program. Thank you so much.
I just wanted to quickly say a couple of things about the group before we start playing. This group looks at the classic recordings of the Blue Note era in jazz, which is about the late 1950s through 1960. And of course, Blue Note is still producing albums now, but the importance of the albums that they produced during that time is extreme to the history and legacy of jazz. So we look at particular artists that were famous artists of the Blue Note era. And this semester, we're looking at Dexter Gordon. And we had the opportunity to actually work with Maxine Gordon, who just came out with a book about Dexter Gordon's life. And she did a speaking engagement at UW in our new facility. And we were able to play with her and play some of Dexter's music. So these are all Dexter Gordon, either patterned after his recordings or songs that he wrote. The first two we're going to do, the first one is Cheesecake, and it might be his most famous song, and it was off of the album on Blue Note, which is probably his favorite of all of his albums, and that's called Go. So Cheesecake from Go, and then they're going to play a standard, Star Eyes, from A Swingin' Affair. So both of these first two are from the Blue Note era of Dexter's recordings. I want to introduce this fabulous group to you. On trumpet, we have Dan Roth. Our wonderful alto saxophone player is Nick Burkout. Zach Ramirez plays tenor saxophone for us. We have Mark Gooden on piano. Nathan Haywood on drums. Sean Lloyd on guitar. And playing with us tonight is Ari Smith on bass, and I want to say something about him. He's not our normal bass player. Aiden Steer is our normal bass player, who some of you may know. He's playing the opera tonight, and he's actually a classical bass major, so it takes precedence over the requirement to play with us tonight. But he's a professional, and he got a sub, and what a sub. So Ari has played with us one time, and he is also not a music student. He's a doctoral student in engineering at UW. Although I do believe he holds a bass degree from Oberlin. That tune is called Star Eyes, and that's a standard tune. Charlie Parker made it famous. Dexter liked to record standards, and that was one of the ones that I think is a great example of his standards playing on Blue Note. So that one's from A Swingin' Affair. The first one is from Go. This next tune is called Antibus, and it represents a period in his life. Dexter was a famous expatriate. He lived in Copenhagen for 14 years. And he recorded in Copenhagen for a label called Steeplechase Records. And this was one of his songs that he wrote for that. It's a minor blues, it's fast, and it's called Antibus. We're going to continue now with another standard that Dexter loved to play. We've got a couple of standards on this, and partly because Dexter was just famous for the way he handled standards. So this one is called You Stepped Out of a Dream. So we've got two more tunes for you tonight. Both of them are from the Prestige Records label, and Dexter, after he returned to the United States from Copenhagen in the 70s, recorded for Prestige. And both of these tunes, the first one is a blues, and then the second one is an original by Dexter, but they're both what we refer to sometimes as contrafacts. So the tune we just played is a standard tune. It's an American Popular Songbook tune, and the melody is the melody that was written by the American Popular Songbook composer. But a lot of times what would happen, especially on smaller record labels for jazz musicians, is that they would love playing over a tune like George Gershwin's I Got Rhythm, but they didn't want, the label didn't want to pay George Gershwin for the right for them to record I Got Rhythm. So it turns out that you could copyright only melody, not chord changes. And so jazz musicians wrote their own melodies to these songs and gave them different names. So they were playing over standards anyway, even a lot of times when they were playing over their own tunes, especially in the 50s. This was true, but it's a tradition that carries on today. So the next tune you're going to hear is a blues, which is, you know, maybe the contrafact of all contrafacts, right? Everyone writes a different melody over the blues. It's the same changes. But then the last tune is called Fried Bananas, and it's Dexter's melody over top of a standard tune called It Could Happen to You. So here's Sticky Wicket and Fried Bananas. I want to just quickly say before we play the last tune that we have one final concert for this semester, and it's December 6th, Friday night at 8 p.m. in the Collins Recital Hall in the Hamill Music Center. It'll be our group plus the UW Faculty Jazz Ensemble playing with Greg Ward as a guest artist. He's a wonderful alto saxophone player from Chicago. So come and see us. This is Fried Bananas, and thank you for listening to the UW Blue Note Ensemble.
Another fantastic night at Tandem Press, thanks to all the incredible musicians here tonight. I want to thank all of you, each and every one of you. I hope you have a wonderful Thanksgiving. I want to also acknowledge your professors, Chris Rottmayer, who directed this group, Nick Moran, who directed the Afro-Cuban Jazz Ensemble, and both of these professors mentioned that these fantastic students will be performing again on the campus on the 4th of December and the 6th of December, respectively. So please try to go to hear them and support them again. I also want to thank Audio for the Arts, who are broadcasting this live on the internet, on the World Wide Web, I should say. And actually, they give us the recordings afterwards, and so you can actually find them on our website in a couple of weeks when they've had a chance to edit a little bit, all the things like this. But it's wonderful. There's a wonderful record of all the incredible students and their directors, the professors who have conducted them. And again, I want to thank Johannes Wallmann, in case he might be listening tonight. And I also want to thank, in particular, Buzz Kemper, Audrey Marinovich, Noah Gilfin, and Dave Alcorn, who are recording this and making the sound so great for everybody throughout the whole building to have the opportunity to hear this, and on the web. Thank you all so much. Our next concert will be December 13th here with the Jazz Studies program, and on December 14th we will have an open house with printmaking demonstrations all day. So please come back, and thank you for your incredible support tonight. Thank you.